Hey folks, Why Would You Ask That is a podcast that answers some of the weirdest questions. A lot of those are inappropriate for some listeners. If you're squeamish, easily disturbed, or just having a bad day, this may not be for you. But if you've got to know the answers like we do, stay tuned.
Why Would You Ask That? Hosted by me, M, they, them, and
Karen, she, her, and
Remy, he, they.
And today, we're wondering who
who?
who is the best girl boss, gatekeep, gaslight?
Oh.
Excuse me. We got a list of badasses today, and I hope you're ready to listen.
Badasses.
Badasses.
Okay.
I don't know who they are.
I don't know anything. I'm coming in with an open mind and an open heart.
That's exactly what you need for this.
Now, when you say girl boss, I'm assuming because we're still in International Women's Month that it's going to be about actual girl bosses or actual real good female leaders.
Yeah.
And not girl bosses.
What's the difference? Is there like a connotation that I don't know?
For girl boss?
Yeah, I'm bad at slang and stuff.
How would I describe it? How do I describe this? It's, we should look up the meme. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. So, apparently gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss is a parody of the phrase live, laugh, love. I didn't realize that, but the phrase is used to mock the stereotypical sentiments of the typical empowered feminist, with each term holding a negative connotation in reference to female empowerment. So, it's kind of done a triple axle twist, because girl boss was originally supposed to be like female empowerment, women can be bosses too, and then it started being used as a way to make fun of female empowerment, but then also it's used as a way to make fun of how the media, particularly like channels like the CW and Lifetime, often portray women as very feminist and like empowered, quote unquote, but at the end of the day they're still seeking male validation. So girl boss is a very complicated word.
Yeah, I kind of view it in the white feminism thing.
Yeah.
This is why I was laughing so hard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it depends on the group that you're with on what girl boss means, if that makes sense. Because if you're with a bunch of like white feminists, girl boss is like, yes, go girl, girl boss, like in the very cringy way that white girls use AAVE.
Oh yeah, when white person's just like, oh yeah, slay queen, and you're
Yes.
like, this sounds unnatural coming from your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with almost entirely white women who like to be like, it be like that sometime, stuff like that.
And you're like...
And it's like, Jesus, please stop.
Yeah. And then there's the dude bros who use girl boss as like, either one, like, yeah, I want my girl to be a girl boss so I can like stay home all day and play video games, or I don't want my woman to be a girl boss, like she needs to stay in the kitchen, like whatever, like it, those guys. And then there's people who are kind of more like me, who are like, haha, girl boss, yeah, like it's the media's way of sucking up to white feminists, but they actually don't have any interest in improving the situation that women find ourselves in. So, yeah.
It's a give a dog a bone kind of deal.
Yeah. So, it's complicated.
We went into a weird direction, but very applicable.
I want to learn about real badass women.
Yeah, actual, like, good, cool ladies.
Yeah.
Let them... let them girl boss right into my heart.
So tonight, yeah, we're not talking about whatever that girl boss stuff is, because I didn't even know that it didn't mean what it sounded like it meant. which is just my own problems with stuff that say one thing and mean something totally different. It's just an autism thing.
Yeah, as you do.
No, we're going to talk about it in the meaning that it sounds like it has, and we're going to talk about actual quote-unquote girl bosses. Women who are strong and powerful and in charge of things.
We love that. Dominate me, please.
Namely, they're in charge of their own, like, lives and destinies and whatever sappy sounding stuff. It started coming out of my mouth, and I said, that sounds corny.
They take charge of their destiny. That's what we should all be fucking doing anyway.
So, we're going to talk about two women who hit historic firsts for womankind and were badasses while doing so.
Love it.
And we're going to start by talking about a woman named Sarah Breedlove.
Sarah Breedlove.
Okay.
Well, for one, that's a good name.
Do either of you know who she is?
I feel like I've heard this name before, but that's as far as I get.
Yeah, about the same. Well, I don't even know that I've heard this name before.
You know who she is. You'll see. So,
Okay.
Sarah was born in Louisiana in December of 1867, just a few years after the ratification of the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery. Sarah had 4 older siblings, but she was the first one in her family to be born free.
Oh, okay.
So she became an orphan 7 years later and had to move over into Mississippi to live with her sister and her brother-in-law, who was awful. And she started working at 7, doing laundry, which was a pretty hard work at the time.
For a 7-year-old even.
Well, I mean, and also you're scrubbing on, like, washboards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
At 14, because her brother-in-law was so horrible to her, she decided to run away and get married.
How old was he again?
How old was she? 14.
That's what I said.
I was just making sure I heard you right.
Good lord. 14.
She was 14. She got married to a man named Moses McWilliams when she was 14, so that she didn't have to live with her brother-in-law and her sister anymore, because her brother-in-law was terrible.
Imagine being that kind of desperate at 14.
How old was the guy she married?
I mean, an adult.
Oh, no.
An adult man.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Nope.
Yeah, and at some point in her teenagehood, before she was 17, she gave birth to her only child named Alelia McWilliams.
Is it Alelia or Alila?
It's Alelia because I looked at the website for this family, and they say it's pronounced that way.
Alelia. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Alelia McWilliams is her only daughter. So, by age 20, she was a widow, and she upped and moved to go find a better life.
Good for her. Find a better life.
She decided to go leave and get out of the South.
So she moved away for a better life.
Yeah, she decided to get out of the South.
Did she find it?
Move north. I'm telling you.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, she and her daughter, who was 2 at the time, moved to St. Louis, Missouri, to live up where her older brothers were. They were barbers. She had no education, really, at all. And so she spent the next 18 years continuing to work as a washerwoman.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, she was earning as little as $1 to $1.50 a day.
Oof. No, thank you.
Workers' rights, bro.
And I forgot to look up how much that was, but it can't have been much.
Is it $7.25 an hour?
It's $22.96 an hour.
What?
Wait, what?
$1 would have been $22.96.
In today's modern money?
Yes.
Hold on.
Hold on. No, that can't be right.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
This is a lot for our modern day. What the fuck?
She was not making $1 an hour. Please let me clarify. She made $1 a day.
Okay, so she was making
$22 a day.
Oh, okay. Forgot.
$22
Okay,
a
yeah,
day.
I forgot about the a day part. I'm sitting here like, an hour?
Yeah.
An hour? What? An hour?
Yeah.
So if you divide 22 by 8, that's about, if you're going by the standard 8 hours a day, that would be $2.75 an hour in today's money. It's not enough.
I would have been irritated that at at my own earning power, not at her. She can make $22 an hour. She should have been, or more.
Yeah.
That would have been hard work.
Yeah.
But no, she was making $22 a day if she could.
By comparison, but she was actually making $1 a day. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. And she had a kid she was trying to feed and take care of and put diapers on and so on and so forth off of the same $22 a day that she was trying to feed herself off of. And I don't know exactly what her living situation. Maybe she was living with one of her brothers. I'm not sure.
So who knows about rent? God.
Yeah. So
That's rough.
in the 1890s, she began to notice places on her scalp where she was losing her hair.
Wait.
Hold on.
No, never mind. Okay.
So, bald spots were not rare among women during this time period, particularly in areas without running water and electricity. Many women made a habit of washing their hair only about like once a month, especially if they didn't have money. Like, scalps suffered because of that, as you can imagine, making it difficult for hair to grow because of like oil buildup and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like most black women of the time, Sarah was using harsh soaps and heavy oils and grease on her hair, which would have made her condition worse. And I read in one article that black women, because they didn't have hair products for them, would have used all sorts of things to keep their hair moist, including things like cooking oil or lard and stuff like that.
Dang.
Which is, I can't imagine the feeling of cooking oil or lard sitting in my hair.
Yeah, I mean, I put in conditioner for like, I let it sit there for like 5 minutes, and no, it's not pleasant, but I mean, it's certainly better than lard.
Yeah, I don't like the feeling of my hair getting greasy.
Well, my hair has some texture. My hair is curly and it has some texture, so I use leave-in conditioner to keep it nice. And I don't even like that some days. If I put a little too much in there and it feels heavy, I don't like that, and I gotta get it all out of there and start over.
So her hair would fall out. I mean, I know that it was likely because of all of the products that they were using, but is it possible she had alopecia as well?
Yeah, who knows?
Or were they even able to document that?
You know, I think I looked this up once. Yeah, in the 18th and 19th centuries was when they started documenting alopecia, but not by that name, I guess.
And it probably wasn't documented well.
Well, according to this, the history of alopecia areata is at least 3,500 years old, but it's gone by a lot of different names because people's hair has always been falling out.
It just probably was not documented well in people of color, too. So, hard to say.
Yeah. Huh. My article here says in 30 CE, the described presentation of alopecia areatus is spots or, quote, the windings of a snake, which is like streaks of hairlessness on the head, and the suggested treatment is with caustic compounds and scarification.
Well, not a fan of that.
These things were found in papyrus from ancient Egypt.
Dang. Been treating baldness for forever.
You know, this reminds me of something that I've noticed before, and I'm not sure if this is like a thing that's on purpose, but like, you notice how much like stuff for natural hair is like, nowadays it's not as bad, but like it used to be like hair care for dogs and horses
was in the same section as hair care for, black hair.
Yeah, you'd find the mane and tail and stuff over there.
Yeah, that is... Oof. That was... And it was always in the darkest part of the store. Yeah. Now Target has, the full section that's like, really hamming it up about how inclusive they are. And, Tabitha Brown is a, like, cover girl for Target. Not in a puppet way, but...
I don't know if like mane and tail is like because it's not marketed for dogs, but it's for people. But it's just like one of those things where you see it and you're like, the way they market it.
Yeah.
Also, there's a class action lawsuit against Mane and Tail
Really?
for hair loss.
That's the opposite of what you want. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't trust any brand that says mane and tail with my human head.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, because like I'm googling frantically to fact check myself, but it's marketed as pet shampoo for horses and dogs and everything. But when you go to the Mane and Tail website, there's pictures of people. Like, there's a black woman on there.
What?
Yes.
Oh my god, you're right. She's under the spirit picture.
Yeah.
Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron got a knockoff series that's probably not as good.
Yeah. So they market it for like people and children and like, but it's also marketed as a shampoo for animals.
Yeah, because, my mom bought me some for my dogs. I literally have some up in the bathroom.
Yeah, like it looks like it's a really common question too that I'm like throwing out there on Google. It's just like, is it for people? And it's literally, if you go on the Mane and Tail site in the frequently asked questions, are Mane and Tail products safe for human use? Yes, it says.
Yeah, I just Googled it also. And it says mane and tail was originally formulated to be used on horses, but then people who own horses started using it for their human hair.
And then, there's that class action lawsuit that I mentioned earlier.
What the fuck?
Yeah, people probably started using it on their human hair because you put it with the human shampoo. So.
But it's always with stuff for like natural hair and things like that.
That's fucking wild.
Like, it's one of those things that just like has always been in the back of my fucking head forever. And then I found like the Mane and Tail that we had here, and I'm like, is this for people or for dogs? I don't know anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if my mom uses it.
She's a horse girl.
She is a horse girl. But I think, no. She really likes fancy shampoos, though. Like, she bought me some fancy, like when I say fancy, I usually mean, like, Tresemme. She buys me name brands that I don't know, that are, like, that they sell you at the salon.
Oh.
I don't know those, but they last, but it's conditioner, so it lasts me, like, all year, so.
Yeah, Michelle used to buy me that stuff, and I'm very particular about what I use in my hair, so she stopped.
Okay, so this is a really common problem in general for people of the time. It's still a really common problem. Because I have problems with this issue, I've been Googling around a lot. It's still a really common issue that Black women have nowadays, but we have products now for that. But back then, there just weren't any. There just weren't any products made for Black women. So Sarah, she started telling people that she was praying for a way to heal the bald spots on her head, and she had a dream. And in her dream, she said, quote, "A big black man appeared to me and told me what to mix for my hair." Quote. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did this man look like?
Oh, big and black and beautiful. Yeah.
So God?
God.
Yeah, God appeared to her, yes.
Let's go.
Let's go. She experimented with formulas and settled on a regimen of washing her hair more often, and also using a formula that combined petroleum jelly, beeswax, copper sulfate, sulfur, and then some perfume to hide the smell of the sulfur.
That is a very curious combination.
Can you
I would
read
be
it?
highly allergic to.
Can you read it to me again?
Oh, what thing in there are you allergic to?
Petroleum jelly.
Really?
Yes. I have to be careful about what I use on my skin, and I found out that I'm very allergic to petroleum jelly because a lot of skincare products, especially chapstick,
Contain petroleum jelly.
yes, and my lips it caused a chemical burn on my lips. All the skin sloughed off. And like I was trying when I have bad eczema, I can't use anything with petroleum jelly in it because it causes the skin to all come off.
That's so weird.
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah, it causes chemical burns.
Yeah. And you gotta bring it up anytime you go to a doctor or a hospital or an appointment or anything like that.
Well, yeah, it's in so much stuff.
They use, I know.
Like I haven't had any issues so far, but aside from like getting treatment for the eczema at some point, but I get tar.
Tar?
Yeah, there's like a tar treatment, tar soap.
Does it work?
Yeah, like there's a you have to get prescription stuff for it basically. But yeah, it works really 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 good. Like cuz eczema and psoriasis were really common where I was because a lot of the native population suffered from it. So they just had these things on hand.
I wonder why it's so high there.
I don't know. That's probably it's a really weird kind of thing to think about, I guess. I never really questioned it because a lot of my friends up there are native. So they're just like, just go in and say you're native and you have a skin problem and they'll take care of you.
What? Wow. Huh.
So do you have, which type of tar soap do you have? Because there's 2 types and I'm reading about them now.
I don't use any at the moment, but I was using it was a prescription stuff that was in a pot.
Okay, well, did you know that you can buy tar soap from like Amazon?
If I have issues, I go and start looking, but I haven't had issues for a while.
Just in case you had issues and you wanted some. Yeah, because you can get pine tar soap. I'm reading about this from a health website, not from just in general. Yeah. Tar soaps are recommended to relieve psoriasis symptoms like itching, inflammation, and scaling. Pine tar and coal tar are the 2 types. Pine tar is made from pine tree resins and has a strong pine scent. But doctors generally prescribe coal tar, which is a distillation of byproducts of coal processing.
No matter what, you can't get away from this shit.
Yeah, coal tar, apparently. Coal tar has been used to treat skin conditions since ancient times, apparently.
Like, coal tar was probably what I had, so...
Yeah, you cannot get coal tar soap without a prescription.
That's how bad it was. My whole body was falling apart. I was on T3s.
But you can buy pine tar soap, like over the counter and off Amazon and stuff. And some brands that sell pine tar soap have been in production since the 1800s and using the same formula. And it's apparently very effective, so...
Highly recommend.
Wow.
Shout out to anybody
I'll buy some of this.
who needs it. And is also, like, very sensitive to random shit that people think will instantly cure you.
Oh yeah, can I leave the stuff about your petroleum jelly allergy in here?
Yeah.
Good, because this is good information. I have sensitive skin. I can use this stuff.
Yeah, I'm also allergic to topical oatmeal. I have to be really careful. Yeah, it's in a lot of stuff for, like, hydrating your skin and stuff, so...
It is. Sensitive skin products invariably contain oatmeal or jelly.
Yeah, like, I stand in shit for, like, ever, and I'm like, what ingredients do you have? Pouring over it, because, like, I just can't live with this shit. I already use enough cortisone as it is.
Maybe you should migrate over into the black skincare aisle because they use things over there like jojoba oils and coconut oils and stuff.
Well, yeah, I've been using, like, more oil-based, like, nice stuff for my skin.
Is it jojoba or jojoba?
I've just been pronouncing it jojoba because it comes from Africa, not from Central America, right? So I've just been pronouncing the J's as J's.
All right, we have the luxury of Google in front of us. Hold on.
I'm Googling it already. It's jojoba.
Jojoba!
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
I wanna hear Google say it. Hold on. Jojoba.
It's not to be confused with jujube, which is pronounced jujube.
Is that the candy?
Jujube or jujuba is a Chinese date. It's a date tree.
Thanks for teaching all of us how to pronounce that oil correctly, Karen.
That's what I'm here for. Also, I just heard it all the time on those shampoo commercials.
It's like when you learn the pronunciation of acai or pho. You're like,
Acai.
I did it wrong anyway.
That's literally what the commercial is. With oils from acai and jojoba, blah, 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 blah. I don't remember the rest of it, but I remember acai and jojoba because I would sit there and stare at it and go, acai.
The echolalia is strong in you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot to share pictures.
Oh yes, hit us with the pictures.
Oh, she's cute. She could kick my ass.
There she is. This is a picture of her in her prime.
I like her hat and her muff complementing each other.
Was this the book that we just randomly stood and read in the library, Karen? About the woman who invented hair care products for fellow black women.
I think it is, yeah.
I
think so.
Double checking. Because now I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, hold up.
I'm like, I think I do know her story, but I don't remember it very well.
Because it was like a 10-page book that we read, and it was a children's book with beautiful, beautiful art.
Yeah, it was really pretty. Wait, it was it at the library or was it at a store?
We were standing around in the library reading it because we were wandering around, and we happened to be in the kids section, and it being Black History Month, they're like, let's put this here.
You're right. And we're like, wow, these illustrations are really, really nice.
Yeah, we were like caught up. Oh, it's called Wonderful Hair, The Beauty of Annie Maloney.
Ah, wrong woman.
Wrong woman. But a woman who did do hair care stuff.
Yeah, I'll get to her in a minute.
Yes!
I was so caught up in the fucking illustrations. I was just like, names, and I don't know. Pictures.
So, I'll read you the concoction again now. So, reiterating the stuff she was doing with her hair to make her hair grow back, Sarah was washing her hair more frequently than once a month, and using a formula that she concocted that was petroleum jelly, beeswax, copper sulfate, sulfur, and then perfume to hide the smell. So, the National Museum of African American History and Culture has in its collection a 2-ounce canister of this original formula.
Okay.
Which is just really cool to me. Sarah's hair grew back after she started using it, and in essence, she became her own advertisement. And that was the beginning of her business, selling that formula door to door, because of a growing urban black population after the turn of the century. And here's a quote from her daughter. No, not from her daughter. Here's a quote from her granddaughter, great-great-granddaughter. One of her granddaughters said, quote, "She was going after African-American women. She knew that this market was untapped, and so that's what she was doing. She became her own advertisement for this growing, population of urban black women who needed the hair care and didn't have it otherwise." So, in case you haven't picked up on it, or you don't know the historical figure at all, I'm talking to you about Madam C.J. Walker, which is the name that she takes on.
Oh.
Got it.
And the lady who I was quoting a minute ago is named Alelia Bundles, and she's named after C.J. Walker's daughter, and also is Madam C.J. Walker's great-great-granddaughter.
Ooh.
And she's her biographer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'll link the biography on our resource page. It's called On Her Own Ground, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker.
Nice.
Yes. So, in 1905, Madam C.J. Walker moved to Denver as an agent for Annie Malone, who that book's about, that you guys were just talking about. Annie Malone was her own successful businesswoman. She was doing African American hair care products over in Denver, but she had a very small situation going on. And so Madam C.J. Walker moved out there to work for her, which is how they're connected to each other. So out there, she married a journalist named Charles Walker, and that's where the Walker came from. Yeah, she used her married name on all of her products. And here's a picture I have for you that will also go on the resource page, of course, of that little tin of her original hair care products.
That is some long-ass hair.
Well, yeah.
That's why it's called the Wonderful Hair Grower, to make your hair grow.
Grow.
Yeah.
Help grow.
You have to feed it sulfur or else it will not grow.
The businesswomen of her era often adopted Madam as part of their work-life persona. And that's where that came from also. The Walkers, they traveled around selling the quote-unquote Walker method. She advertised in black newspapers nationwide and by awarding franchises and accepting mail orders. And Madam Walker soon extended her geographic reach across the nation, where segregation often made travel difficult for African American women. This is how she just built up her empire.
Okay.
It's a lot like Etsy, but
A little bit.
like for real. You know what I mean?
In the meat space.
In the meat space. No, I mean like without relying on a larger platform.
Yeah, mail-in orders, newspapers, word of mouth. So next she moved to Indianapolis in 1910, and there she built a factory, a beauty school, and a salon. I had a picture of her beauty school.
Oh, is that the
Cute.
madam there who's looking very severe off to the side?
It is not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam C.J. Walker was a plump lady.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not a lady, but I am plump. Delightfully so.
Yes, agreed. Madam C.J. Walker, College of Beauty, Culture, graduating class, Chicago, 1934. That's awesome.
The factory.
Well, yeah.
And this one is not of the school or the factory. I just thought it was interesting.
That's quite a
Ooh.
face that she's making.
Well, she is having her hair, like, pulled.
Yeah, it's just been pressed using that machine that you see off to the side.
Oh.
Yeah, that probably hurt.
Probably.
Listen, all I know about hot combs is that when I heard the word hot comb, I was like, oh, thanks. I was like, why would anyone do this? And then I found out why. And I was like, why would anyone make them feel like they have to do this? I was like, I get so mad. I'm like, I just don't understand. On the one hand, yes, female empowerment, feel confident in yourself and beautiful, but also, fuck beauty standards! Fuck the patriarchy! Fuck white supremacy! I'm gonna crush it into the ground someday. Like my boot.
Okay, so after she did that, 3 years later, in 1913, she decided she was not content with her business only being in the United States, and she decided to just go ahead and move some of her business overseas also into Central America and the Bahamas.
Okay.
So while she was out of the country doing that, her daughter Alelia, who herself had become a Harlem socialite, and that's a different story, moved into Walker's townhouse and opened the Walker Salon there.
Okay.
So Madam Walker joined her daughter in New York in 1916. And then, sometime later, she bought herself a mansion in Irvington, New York, and lived next door to people like the Rockefellers.
Shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So she came from really humble roots, and she never forgot that. So she used her position to help the poor and to position herself as an activist championing black rights. And she was formidable.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, like, do you guys know Booker T. Washington?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So he founded the Tuskegee Institute, a black institute, a historically black institute, college or university. There's a difference between college and university, and I don't remember which the Tuskegee Institute is.
University. It's now Tuskegee University.
Yeah, so Booker T. Washington founded Tuskegee University. So he did like a conference thing there back then. And so he had her there at the conference, and then she didn't like the way she was being treated, so she got up and faced off against him. Because he blocked her from speaking at the National Negro Business League that was having their little conference there.
Uh-oh.
And the reason it was so irritating to her, it wasn't just because they wouldn't let her speak. It was because there were 3 male cosmetics entrepreneurs who were allowed to speak, and then she was told she wasn't allowed to speak.
Oh, no. No. That's not allowed. Good. I'm glad she's...
That's what they told her.
And she was like, yeah, fuck that. Fuck you guys. I'm gonna fuck some shit up. She probably said it not like that, but man, if she did say that. Sometimes I like to imagine history really did happen the way drunk history tells it. And I'm like, I don't want anyone to convince me otherwise. I know it didn't happen.
I have her exact quote. It's very nice. So, it's not nice, but it's not what you said either. So, on the last day of the conference, she had had enough of it, and so she just stood up and interrupted the scheduled events and took the stage regardless of what Booker T. Washington said was going to happen.
Oh, shit.
And, yeah, and she said, quote, "Surely you are not going to shut the door in my face. I feel that I am in business that is a credit to the womanhood of our race. I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. I am promoted from there to the washtub. Then I was promoted to the cook kitchen, and from there I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory on my own ground."
Yes. Yes. Yes.
End quote.
Dang.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
I've earned my spot here.
Mm-hmm.
Can't ignore me.
Next year, she was a scheduled speaker.
Fuck yeah, she was.
So as her business grew, her philanthropic and political activism also grew. Shortly after arriving in Indianapolis, for example, her $1,000 gift to the African American YMCA garnered attention in an African American newspaper, or in African American newspapers across the country.
Nice, nice.
That $1,000 is about $26,000 in today's money.
Wow.
Yes. So everybody was very surprised, and really delighted. Surprised because it was coming from a woman, and an African American woman.
Mm-hmm. And then she said, "I'm not surprised because I'm me and I'm awesome." And I would have been like,
Yes. So, because of the way that she grew up and where she was coming from, she's uneducated herself. So, Madam Walker made support of the African American community and their secondary schools and colleges a prominent part of her donations, and particularly in the South. She became active in social service organizations, and to promote equal rights, she worked with the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and the National Conference on Lynching. In 1917, Walker and other Harlem leaders went to the White House to convince President Woodrow Wilson, the worst,
the worst.
that African American service in World War I should guarantee federal support for equal rights. Now, just so other people are aware, Woodrow Wilson is the one who screened the KKK fanboy movie in the White House, and essentially is responsible for why the KKK came back into power in the country.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, because it was like a dying organization, and then because the president was like cool with all the racism and stuff and in that movie, and that the KKK were the heroes of that movie, the organization got more support, and now we have this giant hate group that's just flourishing in this country.
Yeah.
So he's terrible. He's not the best president for a group of black people to go and talk to about anything. So, among other things, the group specifically wanted to have lynchings and white mob violence classified as federal crimes. They had been promised an audience with the president at noon on August 1st, 1917, and at the last minute they were told that Wilson was too busy to talk to them.
Gross.
Yeah.
What was he busy with?
I don't know.
Being a white guy.
Yeah. Damn. That's...
Yeah. So, the group's leader, James Weldon Johnson, told Wilson's secretary, who had met with them, that his group represented, quote, colored people of greater New York, quote, and presented him with a document stating that no white man or woman had been convicted in lynchings of 2,867 African Americans since 1885. And the secretary was just like, yeah, the president shares your concerns. We'll definitely do something about this.
Generic.
I mean, generic. So the group turned its attention to Capitol Hill, where some lawmakers promised to file the anti-lynching appeal in the congressional record and to call for probes of recent racial attacks. But we know that didn't amount to anything, because nothing came of anti-lynching reforms and stuff until much later than 1917. Which sucks.
Yeah.
It's very tiresome.
It is. Madam Walker and the other Harlem leaders faced the realization that neither eloquence nor wealth could convince Wilson to meet with them, and it was a disappointment for her and her activist life, but it was just I mean, there were so many successes for her. This was just like one big one amongst so many amazing things she did. Many women educated and employed by Walker became supporters of the civil rights movement too, and when she died in 1919, she was the United States' first self-made female millionaire.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, what's your face? That cunt that we really hate, who was like really racist, but a feminist, quote unquote.
Stanton?
Yeah!
Mm-hmm.
Eat your heart out, Stanton, you fucking cunt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the second woman we were going to highlight, let's talk about another woman with a historic first. So, the lead up. In 2008, Hillary Clinton ran for president. She didn't make it, if you remember, obviously.
I was there. I mean, I wasn't there. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't even in the United States, I don't think. Wait, was I in the United States?
It was 2016. You were not.
No, 2008, Hillary Clinton ran for president first.
What?
Yeah. In 2008, Hillary Clinton first tried for president.
Oh, right. In the primary. In the primary against Obama. Right?
Yes.
Right.
Didn't make it. Didn't manage it. Yeah.
Listen. I have a lot of problems with all of the Clintons, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Now, in 2016, she did try again. Didn't make it. Got a lot farther, didn't make it. Unfortunately, actually, because look who we got.
And now she's probably given up. And you know what? Honestly, let's bring in new blood.
So,
New blood.
New blood.
Announcing my 2024 campaign for pain in the ass.
I want to do the party of rage. Like, I'm seriously, like, gunning for it. I'm like, what if I just did it? What if we just did it and picked, you know, that guy on the TikToks who yells all the time and definitely would never want to be president?
Okay. So, in 2008, Hillary Clinton first tried to run for president, didn't make it. But she left us with this quote. So, quote, "Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it." Quote. Yeah, so there was that. And then she ran again in 2016. And I remember hearing a lot of discussion from a lot of people and on social media and stuff about how she was the first woman to run for president. And you wouldn't be wrong to think that, but she wasn't. And she wasn't the most liberal one, certainly. And not even close. And I don't imagine that a lot of people know the name of the first woman to put the crack in the highest, hardest glass ceiling quote. I don't know if the two of you know who she was.
No, but you're making me exceedingly curious.
Is it Rebecca Carson?
It's not. I don't know if you can guess when she was. You want to guess how long ago it was, when it was that the first woman ran for president?
1934.
Was that an election year?
I have no idea. I'm just throwing my hat in the ring with a number.
I have no idea.
Em just picked an even-numbered year.
It's Rachel Carson.
Still not it. Do you have a guess?
No. Wait. The first woman to run for president?
Yeah.
What are the requirements to be president?
Old.
35.
Older than me.
You have to be a citizen. Do you have to be able to vote to be the president? You have to be born in the U.S. You have to be 35.
Gay?
Lists only 3 qualifications for the presidency. The president must be at least 35 years of age. The president must be a natural-born citizen and must have lived in the United States for at least 14 years. That's the constitutional qualifications for the president. So I'm going to say first woman to run for president, 1800s. Early.
Yeah, but when?
When? Like 1830s. I don't know.
Okay, I just wanted you to give me a ballpark.
Mm-hmm. That's my ballpark.
1830s.
Do we win a prize for being closer? Do I win a prize for being better than Karen right now?
Why do you think you're better than Karen?
I don't, but I wanted to say it.
No, but thanks for playing.
I've been annihilated with such simple words.
So, The honor of being the first woman to run for president belongs to a beautiful, colorful, and convention-defying woman named Victoria Woodhull, and she ran for president in 1872.
Dang it, I was close. Kind of.
I was closer.
When did you say?
1872.
No, you did not!
I totally did.
You guys are almost equidistant apart. M said 1930s and you said 1830s, and so that puts you at 40 some odd years and 50 some odd years away from the date.
Damn it. Okay, so 1872.
Yep. 136 years before Hillary Clinton made her first run in 2008.
And how many years before women could vote?
Let's see. Women could vote in 1920.
She couldn't even vote yet, and she ran for president. That's a boss move.
Ballsy.
Who is she? Do we like her, or is she canceled?
The new segment on this podcast. Do we like her or is she canceled?
I've thought about doing that. I've thought about making a scale of likability versus canceled.
All for historical figures.
Yes.
So this was 136 years before Hillary Clinton ran. It was about 50 years before women got the right to vote.
Wow. Revolutionary. Yeah. So who is she?
So I have written on here, I said, so on election day, November 5th, 1872, Victoria couldn't even vote for herself. And I said she couldn't have voted for herself in any case, even if she had the right to vote, because she was incarcerated on election day.
Oh my god. Like on purpose?
And for a month afterwards she was. I'll get there.
What the fuck?
So let's talk about Victoria's life.
Well, yeah,
please.
What's Victoria's secret?
She's an old man who lives in Ohio.
Wah, 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 wah. Love that song.
Me too.
So, born in 1838, Victoria... Sorry, sorry, she has a stupid name. So, born in 1838, Victoria, California, Claflin.
Okay, yeah, that is very unique.
Oh no!
Okay, so she was the 7th of 10 children, and she lived in an unpainted wooden shack in Homer, Ohio. Her education lasted less than 3 years, between the ages of 8 to 11.
Okay.
Yeah. She was a descendant of the Massachusetts-based Scots-American Claflin family. Victoria's mother is described as, quote, an unpleasant old hag.
Holy
quote.
Shit. Who said that?
Victoria.
Oh! Damn! Okay.
Her father was a thief, a child beater, quote, a one-eyed snake oil salesman who posed as a doctor and a lawyer, quote. And the lives of the children were, quote, filled with Dickensian debauchery, quote.
She really pulled no punches here.
Yeah. So, Victoria was forced to travel in the dad's painted wagon and work as a revivalist child preacher and a fortune teller.
Oh.
How does that go together?
Oh, she's
We'll get
the
there.
psychic.
Oh, you got Karen excited.
So, Tennessee, which is Victoria's sister.
Oh.
Yeah, so Tennessee and Victoria would collaborate together.
Wait, her name is Tennessee, and we're talking about Victoria, California?
Yes.
Listen, we already established that the parents are shitty.
I'm just thinking of Alexa. Really lucky that you have that face, because that name on any other girl just... This is that.
I've got some really awful names in my ancestry family tree also, so... And I judge them also.
You've got some great names too, though.
Just want to be clear, I judge the names that are like this in my own family tree. So,
Yeah.
I think I
judge
have
all the
somebody
names.
named I think I have somebody named Tennessee in my family tree also. I don't know. No, it's Texas. There's somebody in my family tree named Texas.
Texas! Texas!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think it might also be from the 1800s, so just something about the 1800s, they did this.
Where's Texas? I don't know. He left.
She
seceded.
So, yes. So Tennessee and Victoria, the sisters, would collaborate together throughout a lot of life. While they were traveling around in their dad's painted wagon, they worked as magnetic healers.
Magnetic healers.
Yeah, and were made to perform as faith healers and clairvoyants who spoke to the dead.
Oh.
You know, probably not the weirdest person to run for president.
Their lives were tumultuous, impoverished, unpredictable, nomadic. Her father was a con man, established. He also committed arson of his family's grist mill in the hopes of collecting the insurance money.
Wow. So he's not just a con man. He's a bad con man.
Yeah, and his plan was discovered, and the Woodhull family was forced to leave town.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So at 15, Victoria married somebody. This is very similar to Madam C.J. Walker, who at 14...
No kidding. Like, this is what we were talking about when we were talking about, like, having to rely on some other guy to get you out of these situations because fucking hell.
Yeah. So she married a guy who was a patent medicine salesman at the age of 15 so that she could escape from her abusive father.
Damn.
But her husband was an alcoholic, a womanizer, a morphine addict, and an abuser also.
Wow. Yikes.
Yeah. So he kept her also in poverty, in wearing rags, and then would entertain his mistresses with champagne and fine food and, like, pretty dresses and things.
Don't like that.
No. They had 2 children together. They had a son who was brain damaged and a daughter. And then they divorced 11 years later.
Well, good for her, at least.
Yes.
She probably didn't have a lot of prospects going for her.
No, and divorce in those years, and for many to follow, was really difficult to do and was a stain on a woman's reputation, no matter what her social class was.
Yep.
Yeah, and she didn't exactly have,
good standing to begin with.
No.
Yeah. Like, the desperation that one has to have in order to become a social pariah, all of that is just a lot.
Yes. Yeah, so she became a single mother, raising her severely limited son and her daughter together. Yeah. So then she married for a second time around 1866. So now she's in her 30s. She married a man named Colonel James Blood, who is a Civil War hero and ardent spiritualist.
On which side?
Union.
Okay, there we go.
What'd he do?
What did he do?
Yeah, how's he a hero?
Man, you type this guy's name into Google and everything that comes up is about how he married Victoria Woodhull.
Oh, well. Then I guess he doesn't really matter, so let's move on.
He was already married at the time when he met Victoria.
A bigamist. Wait, in like the nice way? Like in the polyamorous way? Or in the, he's a charlatan?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Okay. So
many questions.
Okay. I know how to figure out what he did. And Victoria, when she met him, was working as a medium under a false name at the time. And apparently when he came in, she said, "Oh, I see our futures are connected to each other."
Oh my god, she just like went full on. She said, "Oh, give me a slice of that guy."
That's the oldest line in the books.
He's not, in my opinion, very attractive.
Mm.
But maybe in Victorian times, he is. Look at him.
Of all the Victorian guys, he's not the worst looking. He's not good looking.
He really isn't, but...
So, the unit that Colonel James Blood commanded actually was in Little Rock for a while. And did some fighting down here in Arkansas, which is interesting to me, but that's not the thing that he did that made him a hero, apparently.
Ah, okay.
I just wanted to mention it because it exists.
Yeah.
So the thing that made him a Civil War hero was that his unit fought at the Siege of Vicksburg, which is the final major military action in the Vicksburg campaign of the American Civil War. And it drove the Confederate Army of Mississippi into the defensive line surrounding the fortress city of Vicksburg, Mississippi, which was the last major Confederate stronghold on the Mississippi River.
Wow. Okay.
So doing that allowed for the capturing of that area and completed the second part of the Northern strategy for taking that area.
Well, shit. Now we know.
Yeah. And so then there was a siege that happened that lasted for 40 days, and then the Confederates surrendered.
Hot damn.
Yeah, and because of that surrender, it significantly degraded the ability of the Confederacy to maintain war efforts. And because of that surrender and that degrading of the Confederacy, specifically at that place, it gave the Union Army control of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And the Union Army had control of it for the rest of the Civil War.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, he was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I guess he was kind of, useful.
It says here that the Confederate surrender at Vicksburg, combined with Robert E. Lee's defeat at Gettysburg the day before, it says those two things are considered the turning point of the Civil War.
Oh.
There you go.
Says it cut off the Trans-Mississippi Department containing the states of Arkansas, Texas, and part of Louisiana from the rest of the Confederate states, effectively splitting the Confederacy in two for the rest of the war. Lincoln called Vicksburg the key to the war.
Okay.
So Colonel James Blood, who Victoria Woodhull married, he led the group that did that.
Okay, holy shit.
One of the groups, anyway.
He's
Yeah.
big deal. Big deal guy. Good. Cool. Okay, now we know. So he marries our girl, Victoria.
Yeah, he walked into her parlor because he was like a big spiritualist. He was really into that. And this was 1866, before the spiritualism movement in the United States got like huge, but he was into it. And so he went into where she was pretending to be a medium, and she laid the moves on him and was like, "Yes, I see our futures are intertwined." And he was like, "Yes, definitely."
Oh my god. Okay.
He
Yeah.
just got played then, okay. All right.
Yeah. So he was into it.
So they're together, they get married, but he's married to somebody else at the same time.
Yeah, he was married to somebody else when they met. They, both of their divorces came through, and then they got married.
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, I thought you said that he got married, that he married her, and then he was married to two people.
No, I was just pointing out that he was already married when they met, and then
Oh.
he got a divorce,
Oh.
and then they got married.
That sucks, but he was unhappy. I don't know. Divorce is complicated.
For some people, it is. Yes, Victoria was always independent-minded and held beliefs that just didn't mesh with the people around her. Like, she believed in things like women's suffrage, labor reform, sex education, spiritualism, vegetarianism, free love, and legalizing sex work. This was 1866, just to remind you of the year.
Okay, so she was like way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shit.
So, yes. And then Blood, James Blood. What a last name.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
So, he was a political and social radical himself. He called himself a free lover, and he encouraged Victoria's self-education and interest in women's rights. He also encouraged Victoria and her sister, Tennessee, to move in 1868 to New York. In New York, Victoria and James opened a salon to inspire new thinking about free love and women's rights, with special attention to women's suffrage. The sisters worked as spiritualists and deliberately set out to meet and captivate railroad and shipping millionaire Cornelius Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
You okay?
Yeah. Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big, important family. So Cornelius Vanderbilt was a widower, and he was super fascinated by the movement of the day. by spiritualism, and Victoria became his spiritual advisor. Victoria, after he lost his wife, Victoria held out hope that she could please Vanderbilt's obsessive desire to communicate with his long dead mother and other things, and Vanderbilt in turn taught Victoria about finance and banking, and then chose to bankroll Victoria and her sister so they could start a brokerage firm.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Their brokerage firm, her and her sister, their brokerage firm was the first female brokerage firm on Wall Street.
Fuck. All right.
Yep. And their firm did very well.
Well, hell yeah.
Using her profits on Wall Street, Victoria became the first woman to start a weekly newspaper in 1870, and she founded a radical newspaper called Woodhull and Claflin's Weekly. And by the next year, Victoria had taken a leadership role in the Karl Marx International Working Men's Association. Karl Marx, in the event that anyone isn't aware, is just like about communism and stuff.
Yeah. Big commie.
So the paper that her and her sister started, the Weekly, operated for 6 years and published the first version in English of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels' Communist Manifesto.
Okay.
Yeah. So, with all of this success behind her at 33, she decided she was going to run for president.
Yeah. I'd vote for her.
Yeah. So, the newly formed Equal Rights Party nominated her in 1872. About the Equal Rights Party, on 15th September 1836, 93 delegates from throughout the state of New York convened in the town of Utica and unanimously resolved, quote, to institute a political party separate and distinct from all existing parties or factions in this state, quote. And so with that declaration, the Equal Rights Party proclaimed its independent political existence from the Republicans or the Democrats. That convention concluded by issuing an address to the people of New York, which echoed the sentiments of the Declaration of the Declaration of Rights, and outlined the party's positions on several specific issues, particularly salient for the state's working classes. The Declaration pledged the Equal Rights Party to, quote, unqualified hostility to banknotes and paper money as a circulating medium, quote. They don't like money. Exploited by speculators at the expense of the working classes, opposition to, quote, any and all monopolies by legislation, quote, and a warning that, quote, vested rights or prerogatives by legislation were usurpations of the people's sovereign rights, quote.
Damn.
So, the Equal Rights Party, for its brief period of existence, became the political instrument by which a significant portion of New York's laborers were able to leave an imprint upon the state's political landscape. And they picked up Victoria as their nominee in 1872.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. We know Victoria was running on a platform of women's suffrage, so we're not going to focus too much on that aspect because we already know about women's suffrage. But I can tell you Victoria became the first woman to testify before a congressional committee addressing the House Judiciary Committee on the subject of women's suffrage. So there's that.
Was she racist? Like the rest of the suffragettes?
No.
Oh.
Her argument was that the 14th and 15th Amendments already guaranteed a woman's right to vote. And all that was needed, she said, was for Congress to pass an act guaranteeing those rights.
Wow.
Yeah. Susan B. Anthony, famous suffragette, was so taken with Victoria's argument that she asked her to repeat it at the National Woman Suffrage Association convention later.
Wow.
So the heart and soul of Victoria's platform was a society free from a government that makes laws which interfere with the rights of any individual, man or woman, black or white, quote, to pursue happiness as they may choose, quote, from Victoria. She believed that women should be free to find whoever they love with or without marriage. Her opinion was that men are allowed to sleep with as many women as they want. Even when they're married, they're allowed to go out and have affairs, and nobody cares if they're sleeping with multiple women at one time, so why can't women do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
this was her free love platform. Yeah. So, the free love movement was a grassroots movement that believed, quote, The state had no right to dictate how people led their personal lives around romance and sexuality. Utopian socialist and philosopher John Humphrey Noyes has been credited with coming up with the term free love in 1848 and for starting a swingers community in upstate New York.
Pineapple people.
That was one of several communal living experiments that cropped up nationwide by the mid-1800s as a reaction to the Industrial Revolution's emphasis on capitalism. So, Victoria was into the free love movement.
Okay.
Her
Was her-
and James Blood.
Okay, so he was too.
So, Victoria explained that free love meant to her in her most famous speech, quote, "And the truth shall make you free," a speech on the principles of social freedom. So this was the name of her speech. And her speech was given on November 20th, 1871, to a crowd of 3,000 people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah. So here's her quote. Quote, "Yes, I am a free lover. I have an inalienable constitutional and natural right to love whom I may, to love as long or as short a period as I can, to change that love every day if I please, and with that right neither you nor any law you can frame have any right to interfere. And I have the further right to demand a free and unrestricted exercise of that right, and it is your duty not only to accord it, but as a community to see I am protected in it. I trust that I am fully understood, for I mean just that and nothing else." Quote.
You know, I agree with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she just wants to be able to love who she loves, and to do it without anybody bothering her about it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to me, I'm like, that's none of my business. I got more important things to worry about than who you're fucking.
I mean, yeah. So, people who weren't for Victoria were really were not about the message that she had in these regards, or in any other regards, frankly. You know how Hillary Clinton was the devil, quote, quote, to people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, before Hillary Clinton was the devil, Thomas Nast, who was like a famous cartoonist who did political cartoons and stuff, well, he had Victoria Woodhull as Miss Satan.
Miss
Miss Satan.
Wow.
I've dropped the cartoon in the Discord for you.
Honestly, kind of hot.
Kind of hot. Yeah, like. I mean, it's. You know, I think he might be kind of into it. I think he's down for being tempted by free love.
So, audiences for her talks numbered in the thousands, but there were many men and women who found the unconventional divorcee who wasn't afraid to talk about sex and religion and race. They were very against it. So on November 2nd, 1872, 3 days before Election Day, the sisters, Victoria and Tennessee, published in their paper details of the alleged adultery committed by a very revered Brooklyn minister named Henry Ward Beecher, who's related to Harriet Beecher Stowe, who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she wrote some really dicey, like, very scandalous details about an affair that he had. Didn't mince any words, just said everything that he had done right out in the open.
Fuck.
And Harriet Beecher Stowe was really pissed off about it. Other people really liked him. He was, he was a reverend. People were like, "Oh my God, scandalous." Yeah. So the Reverend Beecher, he had some very strong words to say in response to the article, and Victoria responded to that and said, quote, "I'm not charging him with immorality. I applaud his enlightened views. I'm charging him with hypocrisy."
Oh.
Yeah. She was like, he can have sex with two women if he wants. I'm totally fine with that. He's just a hypocrite.
He's got to let everybody else in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Harriet Beecher Stowe, she called Victoria an impudent witch back, and then Victoria went to jail for printing slanderous and also crude and sexual stuff in the paper.
Wow.
Yeah. So she lost her bid for presidency pretty badly to Ulysses S. Grant.
Imagine the world we could have had if we had her instead.
Yeah.
Not that Grant was bad as a president, but man, her platform was free love, like no racism, workers' rights, legalized sex work,
Stuff
and
that people still want today.
and women's suffrage. Yeah, it was all good things, the things she wanted. So in 1876, her and James Blood divorced each other, and her and her sister stopped publishing the newspaper, mostly because of the harsh criticism and stuff she was still getting after that particular story about the Reverend. Yeah. And so then she retreated and went to London.
Oh, okay. Now she's globetrotting.
Yeah. Over in London, she got married for a third time to a guy named John Martin, who was an Oxford educated son of a wealthy, proper English banking family.
Well, how do they feel about this? How do they feel about
I don't
her?
know. From then on, she just like lived. And in 1901, her husband died.
Oh.
And so the next thing I have about Victoria is that she was one of the first women in England to own a car.
Wow.
She just stopped being the first XYZ.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, she just lived until she died as like a wealthy widow in a manor house on like a huge chunk of property in England after facing a bunch of backlash in the US for her like very radical views on things.
Yeah.
And then we started this with Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton, everybody talking about her being like the first woman to run for president. So we talked about Victoria, the actual first woman to run for president. So there's some debate amongst historians about whether or not she should count. So just very briefly, because I think she should count. People wonder if she should count because she couldn't vote yet, and also because she was a year short of hitting the actual age requirement to be president. So people are like, well, even if she, people are like, well, even if she didn't meet the age requirement, like, or even if she couldn't vote, she didn't meet the age requirement, so we shouldn't count her. I think she counts. Like, she had the whole campaign and she was supported by a party, so she should count, for one thing. Yeah. Karen, you're with us or against us?
If it's, I mean, this is my job, is to be about the technicalities. So technically, she can't be counted. But alternatively, also my job is to allow exceptions to be made when justifiable. And in her case, I believe that her being 1 year before the mark, with all that she's done and all of the, publicity around her and the support that she had, I believe that she is a viable candidate and she should be considered the first woman to run for president for the United States.
There we go.
Yeah. So we all think she counts. But in the event she doesn't count, literally the very next time after Victoria, the Equal Rights Party supported another woman named Belva Lockwood in her presidential run in 1884 and again in 1888.
You go.
That lady, she was old enough to run for president, so even if Victoria doesn't count, Belva Lockwood would then be the first woman to run for president in 1884 and 1888. And she was really impressive herself. She was one of the first female lawyers in the United States. She was allowed to practice law before the U.S. Supreme Court. She was the first woman to be allowed to practice law before the U.S. Supreme Court.
Hot diggity shit, bro.
So definitely it wasn't Hillary Clinton. And it was almost a century before another woman was able to run, and she was a real contender for a major party ticket. So that's more recent years, and that was Colorado Rep. Patricia Schroeder and Cabinet Secretary and later North Carolina Senator Elizabeth Dole, then Illinois Senator Carol Moseley Braun, then Minnesota Rep. Michelle Bachmann would compete for the nomination of the Republican or Democratic Party. All of those people were going for the Republican or Democratic Party nominations before Hillary Clinton.
Well, hot diggity shit.
It's really astonishing in a country in which women are the majority of voters that we haven't had a woman be president yet.
Yeah.
You know what? Party of rage.
Party of rage. Let's go.
So, Thinking back to Hillary Clinton's run for president and how often I heard people refer to her as the first woman to run for president and to break that glass ceiling. And tonight we learned about the life of Victoria Woodhull, and probably teaching a lot of you about her for the first time and the start of her life. And the two women were really different in the way that they began, because Victoria grew up in poverty with little education, and Hillary in a very conventional Republican Chicago suburb as the daughter of a businessman and a stay-at-home mother. Like, they started out really different. But they also have a lot of similarities, because I don't want to, like, put down what Hillary accomplished too much, because she did accomplish plenty. Like, she did her own good things. They both grew up and married cheating men. Like, Hillary stuck around with Bill for whatever her reasons were. Victoria divorced hers, which was extremely difficult. Both women from a young age had dreams and visions that they fought really hard for.
I don't know. I stand by that first lady. I don't know about, but but yeah.
We owe Victoria for putting that first crack in the glass ceiling for women striving for these political offices, and for giving all those other women someone to look up to and get a little bravery from.
I'm ready for the first woman president. I'm really tired of, I mean, England had their first queen forever ago. And, everyone loved her so much that a whole freaking country still calls places after her. Virginia and all that. So.
Thanks everybody for listening again tonight. We've had some pretty severe technical difficulties lately, but I hope it doesn't show. But we still persist. Anyway, you can send us a question at whywouldyouskthat.com, and there's a special little form there that Remy's made. Or you can email us at whywouldyouskthatpod@gmail.com. And again, that's whywouldyouskthatpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, and don't forget to leave a rating or review on wherever it is that you're listening to us that lets you do ratings and reviews, because it really helps us get the word out so that other people can find the podcast, so that more people can ask us weird questions and we can answer more weird questions. Okay?
So we hope you guys have a good one.
Goodbye.